Water, earth, fire, air. Steve. What would it look like if Avatar: The Last Airbender and Minecraft had a child? Well, instead of imagining that, you weirdo, just play the DLC that came out. Minecraft Avatar Legends. Have you dreamed of becoming the Avatar, but in a more cubed way? Well, this might do the trick, as in this DLC, your job is to master the 4 elements and take on the master of each one at the end. In order to master said elements, you have to learn 3 different moves for each one. How do you learn these specialized moves? Well, through a currency that you obtain by dueling enemies called a mastery point that are spread throughout 5 different areas, all iconic locations from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Got it? Okay, let's go. We spawn in and are immediately tasked with choosing which of our 4 elements to begin training first. I chose air, seeing how in the show, that's the one Aang already knew and was teleported to Air Temple Island, essentially our home base for this adventure. I talked to some NPCs who explained the game and also wasted my time before quickly learning I had the ability to double jump. That double jump. With that exciting revelation, I made my way up some steps and was informed that in order to learn new moves for each of the elements, I had to interact with this, meditation station to access the menu where all the move options are. Moving along, I was approached by an old man who offered to show me how to duel with the one air attack I already knew. Having nothing better to do, I accepted his offer and learned the basics of combat in this game. Stay far enough away from your opponent to not get hit, but don't go too far that the battle cancels and you have to redo it. After that, it's just hit your opponent and don't get hit yourself. Pretty easy. With my sole attack, Air Blades, I defeat the old man sentry who volunteered to spar me and receive one of the mastery points that can unlock the elemental moves. Unfortunately, for the next cheapest air move, I needed 2 points, so for now I soldiered on, drifting up the stairs to a building that a guard tells me is my quarters. Here you can fill the building up with treasures you find along your journey, as well as 4 flags that you acquire upon mastery of an element. But with no treasures yet, we move on to the next point of interest, the Statue Garden. Here, in the endgame, you can battle 4 of the previous avatars, each one specializing in a different element, with a victory resulting in true mastery of said element. At the moment though, as little guppies on our journey, there's not much to do here now besides a homeless man giving us our first treasure for our quarters, and Asami, from The Legend of Korra, giving us our second. Apart from that, there's not much else to do at this place, save for 2 guys asking you to essentially collect this game's equivalent of 150 Diglett in the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLC Isle of Armor. I take a pass on that and talk to Appa, our flying bison, to take us to our next destination, Ba Sing Se. Upon my arrival, I wandered and explored for a bit before venturing in some back alleys, and found myself thrust into what I believe to be the hardest fight in the entire game. After jumping over some barrels and clearing a fence, I was ambushed by 3 goons all at once. With only my baby, let me blow some wind in your face move, and being situated in a tiny and crowded nook in the street, this one was tough. Tough as in, I almost died several times and had to retreat on top of a crate when the AI couldn't hit me to regain my health. I most likely could have beaten them without bitching out, but with my gamer skill, I had to take my wins where I could find them. And a win against these 3 hooligans awarded me a single mastery point. 1 single point. For taking on 3 bastards at once with a move that could be done with a USB desk fan. Am I crazy for thinking I should get at least 2 points for that? Either way, defeating them gives us access to a new area, the Rumble Arena, which we will circle back to later. For now though, we have unfinished business in Ba Sing Se, starting with a child challenging me to a duel. Having no morals, I agreed to duel the child and promptly destroyed him in less than a minute. I imagine he was the first person I was supposed to duel in this city, and not the 3 shady delinquents I faced previous. Adding insult to injury, however, apparently, after our fight, we robbed him and stole his bag of money, officially making us the villains of this story by showing no mercy to both the young and the old. Feeling uneasy after our crime, we happen upon another conflicted individual in Zuko, who was after the Avatar. Spoiler alert, that is us, and he of course wants to battle. We take advantage of his weakened emotional state and slap him up silly, before he decides he is not finished and wants to run it back. Pissed off at this schmuck for wasting my time in this second fight, I pummel him again and receive another mastery point, putting us at 4 total. With 4 points, we can learn the most expensive air move, Tornado. Basically, you spawn a tornado that follows an enemy around for a short while damaging them and knocking them back if they come into contact with it. I decided to save up for this one after seeing some of my challengers use it against me, and was determined to use it myself and incorporate it into my fighting style. I barely used it at all throughout my playthrough. Passing through the city streets, I once again am unfairly pitted against multiple opponents, this time members of the Dai Li. It's a tough fight again, but with my new tornado move at my disposal, I forgot to use it even once, we managed to pull through. However, we aren't done, as the boss Longfeng wants a taste of our might. We crush him, just like his lackeys, and we now have enough points to learn the final air move, Air Sphere. It's a defensive move that blocks all incoming attacks. Sounds useful, no? Yeah, didn't use this one either, and you'll see why in just a short while. But for now, we have a city to conquer. A few irrelevant fights here, embarrassing a princess in front of our friends there, and dueling a shirtless old man later, we now have enough points to begin learning moves for our next element, Fire. The first move we acquire is called Fire Stream, and oh my god, is it the best move in the game. Just hold down your shoot button and it blasts a continuous stream of fire, hence the name, until your stamina runs out. No more trying to aim my weak-ass air blades attack at a moving enemy and failing because I am the absolute worst at games. Just roast them for massive damage, all while just holding down a button. It's amazing. Shortly after, we encounter Jet and steal his sword right from his hands, continuing our villain arc and further muddying the audience's feelings about the protagonist. After searching the rest of Ba Sing Se and learning another not as good fire move, we finally say our goodbyes to the city and leave the population physically and emotionally wounded, and for those who we robbed, in financial uncertainty. Our next destination to create havoc in is Ember Island, a vacation spot in the Avatar universe. To be real, there's not a whole lot to do here. We have the beach with many characters from the show, but they don't do much or want to fight. So we make our way to what appears to be the only other place of interest, a big black ship off the shore. And immediately upon climbing up to the deck, we are jumped by a Fire Nation Navy, with this game pulling its favorite move, pinning us in a 1v3. With our back to the wall and the odds stacked against us, we absolutely dominated the Navy in the easiest fight I've encountered yet, and there is one reason for that: Fire Stream. Right about now is when it kicks in that this move is seriously overpowered. A high damage attack that you can just hold on an enemy that stands still very frequently is just what the doctor ordered to sweep any and all comers that want to mess with the Avatar. And not only does the AI like to stand in place while you are actively hurting them, they also like to walk off in an entirely new direction for a bit, completely forgetting that you two were engaged in heated combat just moments before. Combine all that with the wide open area to fight in, with no obstacles to get blocked by or cramped spaces to get cornered in, and you'll wind up with this fight that I imagine was supposed to be one of the final few fights you partake in, being so carefree that I started laughing like a madman during the boss fight. Holy shit. Just watching his health evaporate was a high I had never experienced before. I felt like an MLB player showing up to the local playground to play t-ball with a bunch of 6-year-olds. It truly felt unfair. And also I saw what the move Fire Sweep looks like when you use it, and I got distracted by the breakdancing. With the ship fight done and over with, I decided my next stop would be to the Northern Air Temple. Oh, and I also learned the last fire move available, which means that our next element to tackle is water. However, after using our last mastery point on the fire move, we are broke bitches. The only way to fix that? Picking a fight with every man, woman, and child we see. As we traverse through the temple, we duel someone named Opal. The only reason I mention this is because I discovered that if I held Fire Stream and used all my stamina on just a single move, my opponent was brought down to half health. Using it again, she was defeated. 2 attacks, and she tapped out. My mind was blown, but there was no time to gloat as I had more air cowboys waiting outside to catch these hands. As usual, we slapped down the grunts and got ready to face the boss, Tenzin, who was some asshole from The Legend of Korra. I don't know, never watched that show. Either way, we learn his morals are even worse than ours, as he makes his children fight us with him, even as he asks us if we want to duel just him. His tricks weren't done yet though, as one of his brats cheated and knocked me off the tower we were fighting on, immediately canceling the battle. Annoyed and slightly embarrassed, I went back and canceled the family, earning myself 1 measly point for my trouble. Trouble didn't end there, however, as just underneath the tower were 2 different duos looking to cause mischief. We took them down handedly and moved along to a courtyard of sorts where we started our waterbending journey by learning our first move, which does not matter at all because I am not switching from using Fire Stream. From there, we pushed around some other kid that was hanging around and learned a second water move, a worse Fire Stream called Frost Breath, that is just shooting snow at your enemy instead of fire. Soon after, we picked a fight with and won against local law enforcement, furthering the narrative that our intentions as the Avatar are maybe not as pure as we once thought, and cementing the idea that, as a person of notoriety, the law does not apply to us. And as quickly as we started, we finished our waterbending education by learning the last move, and hopping over to the Southern Water Tribe to see who wants to start trifling with us. As it turns out, well, of course we found people pissed off at us, first one being this man and two twins just outside the main village. It was a cute fight, with them putting in a decent effort, but they were no match for my fire stream, and they fell one by one. Skating to the main village, there was not much to see aside from some very sad igloos and a questionable watchtower. Realizing there was nothing of interest in this place, I walked to the opposite area outside the village where Kotaro sat, waiting to duel me. You know the drill, we fought, I won, I stole her necklace, and we escaped that barren wasteland and flew to our final new location, the Rumble Arena. I kind of forgot to mention that at every place we have gone to, there has been the same man selling cabbages. Or at least he's tried to, because every time I've seen him, I have knocked over his cart and ruined off his product, becoming one step closer to jumping to the dark side in Avatar Land. After ruining an innocent man's day, we trudge on inside the Rumble Arena where, upon just gracing the main arena floor, we were of course blindsided with the classic 1v3 fight. If you've been following along, you would know that due to Firestream, this fight was incredibly easy the second time. The first time, those earthbenders pulled the same below-the-belt move as those runts from the Northern Air Temple and knocked me off the platform, once again ending the fight instantaneously. Making sure to stay near the center of the arena this time, I wiped the three henchmen and prepared for a duel with three more powerful earthbenders, this time back to back to back. The first two were unimportant landslides, and the last one was only noteworthy because we faced Toph, one of Avatar's main characters. But yeah, she was a piece of cake too, and we exited the arena with intentions to fully master the final element, Earth, but were confronted with an unfortunate reality. After unlocking two earthbending moves out of the gate, I realized with horror that I was missing one mastery point to unlock the final one. That's no problem, I thought, as I readied myself for a brief search around Ba Sing Se to find the one individual who I hadn't dueled yet. And it was no problem, if you overlook the half hour I spent painstakingly combing through every single area multiple times and eventually throwing in the towel and looking up a tutorial just to find Iroh in some backyard on Ember Island that I still have no idea the proper way to find, since you can't enter that house through the front door, and I slapped him silly. But with all that out of the way, we are finally able to master the fourth and final element. All that's left to infuriate the general population is to curse out our ancestors and challenge them to a fight one by one. Here is where I would play some epic music and really ham up the script and give you the play-by-play, but these four fights went the same way every other fight in the game went. I dance around, use Firestream, and win, and that's what I did 4 times in a row, earning us true mastery of all the elements and officially becoming the antagonist we were destined to be. Walking back to our quarters and seeing all the treasures piled up was a great feeling, even if we stole like 50% of them.